digital education initiative of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, and as a part of that initiative here is another lecture on VLSI technology having subject code KEC 053. The topic of the lecture is oxidation. So far we have studied the basic kinetics involved in the oxidation, and we have studied how the growth processes are there, that there is different techniques of oxidation. Here we are going to further highlight or further see what are the things which are ahead of, like advanced techniques or advanced things which are associated with the oxidation process. Now, the topic for this covered in this lecture include the parameters that influence the oxide growth. This is the first thing what we are going to study. Then we are going to study the properties of the oxides which are grown onto the silicon surface, and what are the different induced effects which are getting trapped when the oxide layer is being formed, and what are the consequences of those effects. So, that we are going to cover in this particular lecture. The instructional objectives for this particular lecture, I expect you to learn after this going through this lecture. You should be able to understand and analyze different factors that impact the growth process. I expect you to understand and explain different concepts related to the properties involved in the oxidation process and how you can explore them, how those properties can be utilized best when the device design is concerned. Then we should you should be able to also understand and analyze the oxide induced faults as well as defects, and what are their consequences as far as the reliability of the device is concerned. So, first going ahead with the actual technique, let us revise what we studied in the Deal groove method, because that is going to come handy over here also when you are understanding the impact. Now, in case of my Deal groove method, when I explained initially while discussing the oxide kinetics, I told you we consider the three fluxes. For first flux being the flux which is, that is the gas flux or the gas species available, which like oxidizing species available in the gas which are transporting to the surface, and that we call it as a CG. Then we saw that there is something known as those reaching to the surface, and the surface species we call them as CS, or since this is the silicon dioxide in surface, or this is the growth of silicon dioxide happening on my silicon wafer, I call the outer surface concentration as CO and inner surface concentration as Ci. Now, first flux I call as F1, which is because of the mass transport of the gas species or oxidizing species available in the gas. Second one between the oxide from outer layer to inner layer, this I call it as F2, and third one is the reaction rate, which is basically dependent on the available number of molecules of silicon ready to react with silicon oxygen and form silicon dioxide. So, these are the three fluxes we saw. Then we formulated or we assumed the concept that using, like we invoked the Henry's law, and we assumed the concept that the oxidizing species available within the solid are equal to the partial, like number of species available within the solid, concentration of the species within the solid is equal to the partial pressure available of the oxidizing species in the surrounding gas. And with that concept we modified the this equilibrium concentration we modified, and we got the two values of concentration values at the input or the input layer of this particular silicon dioxide and output layer of the silicon dioxide, and those in terms of my equilibrium concentration. Once I got that, I got when I equated those, I got these particular two equations for Ci and Co, that is concentration of the oxidizing species at the outer layer of silicon dioxide and at the inner layer of silicon dioxide in terms of equilibrium concentration. And then subsequently I reached to the terminologies or two different rate constants. One I call it as a parabolic rate constant, which is given by this particular equation, where my time of exposure or time duration for which I am exposing my surface or I am carrying out the oxidation process is much longer, and during that I found that the oxidation or the rate of oxidation is parabolic, is dependent on square root of Bt, that is x ox is proportional or is equal to under root Bt at that particular time. Whereas when I am having very short intervals, and this I call it as a and when I am having this particular, I call it as a diffusion, this is called as parabolic constant. I call B as parabolic constant. I call it as parabolic constant. Now, similarly, here I assume that this is, so that means I got to know that when my when I t is changing, I know that initially the rate is linear and then it becomes parabolic. Now, this is what is the assumption, this is under root Bt and this is B by A. Now, this is how my oxidation change is, this is my T ox or oxide thickness, and this is with respect to T. Now, this I have seen already, I have studied already, but this is going to be handy over here, because this revision of concept will make your understanding better, and we need to keep this particular concept always in mind whenever we carry out the oxidation, because entire oxidation process, there are majority of the incidences when this deal and groove method is applicable, except under certain situations, that also we will see. Now, since we already are aware about the linear and parabolic rate constant, now you know the oxidation will happen only dependent upon the number of molecules available on the surface, and this depends on what orientation the crystal is, or what kind of and you already know that the oxidation in case of, like, since 111 crystal has got more number of atoms on the surface, naturally there are more atoms to react, and therefore the oxidation rate will be naturally higher as compared to 100 plane. Now, the rate of oxidation, that is why, is heavily dependent on the orientation of the crystal or the surface wafer what you are going to select. If it is 111 wafer, then your oxidation rate will be higher as compared to 100 plane wafer, if you are having surface having that particular crystal orientation. So, this you have to keep in mind. That means, oxidation is heavily dependent, or rate of oxidation depends on orientation of the crystals on the surface of the wafer. So, this is one of the first dependency what we have studied. Always please understand, the parabolic rate constant is B is diffusion limited. So, parabolic rate constant is reaction limited, and therefore, it will be always it will have more influence as compared to diffusion. It has parabolic rate constant is reaction limited, therefore, it has got more impact than the other one, that is So, that is that means, if you have a reaction limited case, please understand, reaction limited case means you have more number of species or ready to react with oxidizing species, and therefore, more number of atoms available to react with silicon oxidizing species and form a silicon dioxide, and that is why naturally under the regime of reaction limited regime, you will have more impact as far as your crystal orientation is concerned. Then comes, this is what is exactly being shown over here. Please see, the activation energy also is being seen, see parabolic rate constant. Now, parabolic rate constant, you will see drastic change in the values over here, whereas B by A, just see the linear rate constant B by A is initially, now this has got heavy dependence on the temperature also. You know already, oxidation has got is greatly dependent on temperature also, as far as your and substrate orientation also. So, here it is basically being studied at wet oxidation, under wet oxidation regime, under 640 torr pressure. The practical studies have been carried out for both 100 and 111 orientation of the crystal, and every, like, both the rates constants, that is B by A linear rate constant as well as parabolic rate constants have been found out, and that is how they have seen that the parabolic rate constant, see it is only varying from 0.1 to 0.517, whereas in case of linear linear rate constant with temperature, since the reaction species are more or species to react are more, there is a drastic change, like initially at 900 degrees centigrade your value is 0.252, whereas just with 200 degree rise in temperature for the same, that is 100 crystal, the value is changing to 2.97. So, drastic change will take place, and that is why your this particular parabolic rate constant will not have much impact, whereas linear rate constant will have greater impact because more oxidizing species will be available. Then comes this is what is being discussed. Now, we know already, I told you already, everywhere the Deal-Groove method is applicable, but there are some observations where you will see over here. Just see, here you are having 111 as well as 100 crystal orientation studied at a particular specific what you call pressure value, and oxide thickness is being studied for different for different time intervals. Now, you will see that initially there is change. Now, when we assume, as far as Deal-Groove is concerned, when we assume that the origin has to start from 0, suppose we assume that there was 0 oxidation, like there was no oxide growth initially available, but slowly we will see that there is change as the oxidation time interval is increasing, the rate is increasing. Now, the gap between the two is slowly decreasing. There is no exact there is no exact explanation, and here your Deal-Groove method is not able to specify or not able to justify this particular action. Now, the overall I told you already, Deal-Groove method is very justifiable, very suitable for almost all the applications. But if you consider the same Deal-Groove method, the rate has to remain constant, but slowly you will observe that these two lines, the separation between these two lines is slowly decreasing, and therefore, the oxidation what you call models were further studied very extensively, and there were very like great researches have been carried out to give the explanation for such kind of phenomena also, and those phenomena were basically superimposed on the Deal-Groove method, and they were like whatever variations are available under the assumptions, and all those things are also being considered. But at this maybe like you might find it slightly complicated, but for time being you just keep in mind that there is a variation or the crystal orientation has great impact as far as your oxidation growth is concerned, and it is the impact is very heavy under the linear regime where the oxidation is reaction limited. When oxidation is reaction limited, since there are more molecules available on the surface, it is the rate of oxidation is much higher as far as your oxidation is concerned, with respect to like impact of crystal orientation is concerned, and this is what is being discussed over here. Even the since the bonds are more, please understand, since the bonds are here more, the active you have similarly if you have so calculated properties have been studied for unit cell. How many atoms are there in the SI area? Bonds available are 4 for 1 here you have 3 bonds. The activation energy, number of available bonds if you have n type of impurity being added, that is how it is being studied, and these parameters have exactly explained or like elaborately give you the idea that as your time progresses, the rate of oxidation slowly ends into parabolic regime, non-linear regime, and it starts retarding. So, it is not linear, same being studied under different oxidation time intervals. Here you are having here also you are having dry oxidation. It was applicable for dry oxidation as well as for wet oxidation, and under both the cases like 100 as well as 111 you have the wafers being studied for different temperature. This is for 700, this is for 800, this is for 900. As the temperature increases, the rate of oxidation drastically increases. Another impact another impact is because of the cleaning. You already know, if the wafer is unclean, if the wafer has got impurities, it will have impact on the growth of the oxide layer. Now, similarly here also, if the wafer, here it is practically studied that if the wafer is properly not cleaned, just see, this is the uncleaned wafer, it is the uncleaned wafer, the rate is in between the wafer. Now, if you are using hydrochloric acid and H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, this will remove all the metallic impurities and what you call other impurities which are because of the, or it will remove the native oxide film also, and thereby the oxidation which will further happen will be at a much faster rate as compared to the other things which are like you have, if you do not clean the material, it will have impact on the oxidation. So, it is always we have already seen that one of the most important thing is in situ cleaning. Always in situ means within the furnace itself, we need to clean the wafer first, so that there are no contaminations, there are no impurities available on the surface. Now, you will ask me from where these impurities come. These impurities can come just by handling also. Your hand is also having sodium impurities. So, that can get into the wafer. Then even if it is in the most clean environment, there are some particles available, and those particles can cause contamination, and therefore, wafer cleaning is one of the important aspect which is to be taken into consideration. Then another thing, like first we saw crystal orientation, then we saw cleaning, then third one is the presence of doping. Now, you know already you have particular thing, like here you have vacancies available, or you have highly doped silicon. If we consider, then it has got more vacancies, and because of that, if the dopants are available, they will tend to have, or they will tend to impact the oxidation rate. And this is very significant in case of my boron. Now, what happens in case of boron? When I have impurity of boron, this boron impurity reacts with silicon and like borosilicate will be formed, and this borosilicate has got very what you call a very active agent, and that will directly react with the oxidizing species, will get very fast oxidized, and that is what is resulting into increase in the oxidation rate. So, during linear stage of oxidation, N type dopants increase the growth rate. So, this is what is the justification of. Now, why? Because you have there is also, because you have more reactive ions, or more what you call vacancies getting created because of these, or superstitions getting created because of these impurities getting added. Apart from it, there are differential oxidation, like there is difference in the oxidation process, because dopants, like different dopants, like P type may not have as heavy impact as this particular, like phosphorus may not have that much high impact, but boron does have. So, as compared to P type, N type impurities have got more impact, because they have more reactivity, and because of the presence of like reaction with the formation of borosilicate, basically it has got more affinity or more tendency to react with the or get oxidized very fast, and that is how it gets this one. So, this is being shown over here. You have coefficients of dry oxidation as a function of surface phosphorus concentration is being shown over here, and this is what is exactly being shown. So, B by A and B. So, B by A is your linear rate constant and parabolic rate constants, both are being shown, and you will see that there is substantial, if your concentration is increasing, this is 10 raised to the power 21, as the concentration increases, the growth rate is drastically changing. This is 10 raised to the power 21, and this is 10 raised to the power 17. So, when there is drastic change in the concentration, this automatically is changing, the rate at which the oxidation is happening is changing. Now, same thing is being shown over here also. It says this is the boron which is being studied practically. You have concentration of 2.5 10 raised to the power 2. Here it is 1 into 10, like basically the order is remaining same, 10 raised to the power 20 in both the cases, in the first two cases, and here it is slightly less. So, you will see that there is drastic change, as the temperature is increased, there is drastic change with the okay, this is the oxidation time and this is the thickness. So, the thickness is drastically changing and both the things are okay. So, if the dopant segregates into the oxide, the bond structure in the silica weakens. I told you borosilicon is happening, and enhanced incorporation or diffusivity of the oxidizing species increases, and because of that you will have rate of oxidation getting increased. So, basically it is enhancing the rate of reactivity, and that is how your oxidation rate is increasing. Another impact you need to see, we always talk about temperature. Now, always it is not possible to enhance the temperature and utilize the process, because these temperature like elevation of temperature can impact the species or whatever impurities are there, they will further penetrate down the substrate and they may get activated many times when their devices are fabricated, that in turn can impact the reliability of the device. So, in order to have low temperature oxidation process possible, many a times it is explored that the pressure to be increased. Now, when the atmospheric pressure is increased, okay, sorry, like you have, okay, so under atmospheric pressure you have oxidation rate very slow, but if you increase the pressure, the oxide rate will increase at the okay, and you can have the advantage of lowering the temperature. Now, you can have less temperature, but better oxidation rate if you are increasing the pressure, but naturally increasing pressure will also have its own consequences, because silicon is, as it is, a very delicate material, and there are other consequences also. It can increase the what you call activation energy of the surface molecules. There can be further what you call pits or impacts, but there are some occasions where you need low temperature oxidation, okay, low temperature, and therefore, we can explore this particular impact also, that is you can elevate the temperature pressure and carry out the oxidation process. So, this is one of the method or one of the impact on the oxidation rate which can be explored. So, oxidation at lower temperature when is required, we go for pressure increase or increasing pressure, thereby enhancing the oxidation rate. That can be attained in dry thermal oxidation by increasing the oxidation in the tube, or in the wet thermal oxidation, both dry and wet. This is being studied here. Just see, slowly the pressure is being changed from 5 to 20, and the rate of oxidation or oxide thickness is how it is changing. So, this is what is the impact being studied practically for both. This is for 111 orientation, this is for 100, and this is what is being studied. Substrate is 100, okay. The resistivity or the sheet resistance was from between 3 to 10 ohm centimeter, and the oxidation duration was 60 minutes, for which the practical study was being carried out. When the temperature was temperature was elevated, see at the same temperature 600, okay, 800, 900, you have very good oxidation rate, and as you increase the pressure at the same temperature, you can have enhanced growth rate, you can observe over here. Another impact is the contamination. Like there are multiple things which are happening, like there are basically different types of charges which can get trapped during the oxidation process, and those charges can be, or their impact can be eliminated if you are using the chlorine or Cl, or you can say halogen species while oxidization. Now, what happens exactly? You have basically, there are 4 types of traps charges, we call them oxide trap charges or immobile ions, which can get accumulated, which were already present on the surface, and when you elevate the temperature and carry out the oxidation, they penetrate down inside the oxide layer, and they can get activated when you fabricate a device and you apply potential. Suddenly that ion will become active and it will hamper the reliability, or it will affect the reliability or operation of the device. You do not want that to happen. Now, in that case, in such a situation, you can what you call restrict its impact by using chlorine. Now, this chlorine will react, okay, you have different species of chlorine being used, and these species will react and make that immobile ion into a particular chemical, it will react chemically, it will make a compound out of it, make that ion into a immobile thing, and automatically it will, or it will form a what you call chemical compound out of it, and it will satisfy its what you call hunger for getting reacted, and automatically this is basically to restrict the mobility of those trapped charges within the oxide layer, and that can be very well done by using anhydrous chloride or anhydrous hydrogen chloride or trichloroethylene, this is TCE when one of the, or trichloroethene. So, these are the 4 species which are generally used along with the oxidation, which will enhance the oxide rate also and take care of the oxide trapped impurities also, which will automatically enhance the, okay. They are also called as the oxide cleaners, we call them as oxide cleaners. Now, let us go ahead with the oxide properties. You know, oxide is being used as a selective mask for different applications. There are multiple utilities of silicon dioxide. You have one of the utility that is you can have for surface passivation, for field oxide, for different applications. Now, here we are going to see these properties, like you can use for a diffusion, you can control the diffusion rate by making a mask of the oxide layer. Then you can have, okay, this mask has to be very small, and you need, it will prevent the silicon substrate automatically. These charges which are trapped can affect the thermally grown oxide films, and if the charge is present close to the SiO2 interface, I just told you it can get activated when the device is being fabricated and can affect the threshold voltage of the MOS capacitor or MOSFET device when it is being fabricated. Now, these can be automatically, that can also affect, okay, that can also affect these, that can when you are using it as a dielectric, these charges can automatically become active and start conductivity, breaking down the or compromising the dielectric property or insulating property of the silicon dioxide. Similarly, you can have when you are masking, using it as a mask, these immobile charges can affect or can contaminate the substrate and alter its properties which are available. So, you do not want that to happen. You have these kind of charges. I told you there are immobile ions which can come because of the improper cleaning or contamination in the chamber. You can have oxide trap charges when the oxidation is happening, that kind. So, here there is a important thing what you have to remember is always there is a purging, or whenever oxidation is being done, you carry out in situ cleaning, you tend to use, or you use the Cl, that is chlorine species, for cleaning these or restricting their mobility, satisfying their needs, so that they remain at their places and there is no action getting or affecting this particular thing. Then you have, okay, these are basically whatever these are trapped impurities are, these are interface trapped. If they are available near the Si-Si2 interface, they can hamper the device performance when the application is being applied, and therefore, you need to take care of these. Another beautiful use of this silicon is you can have selective what you call protection, or selective deposition can be done, so that you can have isolation between the different active areas which are created, like between the active area and the normal area of the device, and that can be done by layering or creating a nitride layer onto it. Then nitride layer is patterned and removed, unwanted portion is removed, then the oxidation is being done, and that is how you will have beautiful isolation being done with a very thin film of oxide. Similarly, here also you will see a polysilicon layer is being done initially, then it is etched away and the silicon dioxide is being grown. So, here you will have a small what you call active area or small area where this polysilicon is being done, rest of the thing is insulated with the help of oxide. So, you have studied different applications, different ways in which the parameters which are affecting the oxide growth can be used. They can be explored to utilize the oxidation in a proper manner, and therefore, you can briefly like you make use of these particular species like crystal orientation, temperature, pressure, and the chlorine species, how they can be beautifully used to study the impact and get the oxidation process done as as per the specifications demanded by the device, and you can make use of what you call different, like you can study these different trapped charges and what are the consequences resulting because of these trapped charges. Once this particular concept is clear, we can proceed further, like we will conclude our session of oxidation over here, and we will go ahead with the next process on photolithography, that is next process. Thank you. God bless.